Happy Monday morning to you. I know it's according to what fan base you're part of. If you're a Clemson fan, you're not so happy. If maybe you're a fan of Illinois this morning after getting throttled by Indiana, probably not too happy. But anyway, we're a Florida fan. Yeah, if you're a Florida fan, you're definitely feeling it. But anyway, welcome to the channel. We're talking about college football here. We got some massive games coming up this weekend. You have Penn State and Oregon and Alabama and Georgia kicking off at the same time. Plus, we have some other solid games after that. I'm going to dive into that in just a second. I'm glad you're hanging out with me. If you love talking college football as a whole, I hope you will subscribe. It is free, and I do appreciate it. Now, right now, I'm going to give you the top 10 for college football. We're going into, I believe, week 5 right now. Right now, Ohio State tops out at number 1, followed by Miami. This is AP, by the way. Penn State at 3, LSU, Georgia at 5, Oregon, Oklahoma at 7, Florida State at 8, A&M at 9, and Texas at 10. Some notable moves. Indiana moved up from 19 all the way up to 11. You have Texas Tech after commandingly beating Utah. That was a game I picked wrong. And I just, anyway, I'm not going to go off on that. They moved up 5 spots. They moved up 5 spots to number 12. Rounding out the top 25. Well, you can go look at it. I'm not going to run you. I'm not going to run you through that. But some notable undefeated teams right now. Southern Cal's 4-0. They're number 21. A lot of people was wondering what was going on in Los Angeles. If Lincoln Riley this would be his last year. You have Missouri, a team who there was a lot of questions around them. They just beat the Gamecocks. They're 4-0. Now, I'm not ready to ring some Missouri Tigers bell and say, hey, they're going to go to win the SEC, but this is interesting. 4-0. Of course, Vanderbilt, 4-0, beat the crap out of Georgia State. And BYU sneaking into the top 25, and TCU's there as well. So, talking about some games that will be coming up this weekend. Of course, a lot of you know, and you can see around me, I am a big Clemson fan. I have my Clemson channel. And, it's, for a younger channel, that it's doing pretty well. But we're off this weekend. We're 1-3. The worst start, I think, since 2004-ish. And one of the worst starts probably since the 70s for a Clemson football team. But they're off this weekend. Talking ACC football. And a team that is just absolute, it's an about face. They've used the transfer portal, but this past year Norvell fired basically every important coach on his team. Brought in not only portal players, but he also went and got some really good coaches to lead his team, and it is paying dividends. Florida State, they're 3-0. They're number 8 in the country. And they're playing Virginia this Friday night in Charlottesville. And this Virginia team, they're 3-1. And I want to pause here and say this. I believe that Florida State is much improved. But I think they're overranked at this point. Again, I fully expect them to beat a lot of the teams that they're going to play based on what we've seen so far. They're beating bad teams bad. They drug Alabama in week 1, and that's really where everyone is excited. They've already won more games than what they did last year in that terrible year. It still doesn't make sense. I mean, winning only 2 games last year still doesn't make sense. Going 500, meaning that you would go 6-6. Don't know. Even that would have been hard to accept after the season that they had in 23. But they've moved past that. I just think that right now they're a little overranked. Again, Florida State fans, I'm not talking trash. I'm saying if I was a Florida State fan right now, I would say, hey, put us at like number 13-ish, number 15, and let us still sneak up on some people. Let us go ahead. Make it seem like there's an area of, like a posture of disrespect towards Florida State from the media. That's what I would want right now. But hey, They are number 8. They're number 3. They're only a 6.5-point favorite going into Virginia. Now, Tony Elliott's got his work cut out for him. They've lost a game already this season, but they've won 3. So we will see. We will see how they do. TCU and Arizona State gets together this Friday night, 9 o'clock on Fox. Arizona State, and this is in Tempe, Arizona State is a 2.5-point favorite coming into this game. We're trying to figure out who is who between these two teams. TCU's won 3 ball games. They look decent, but that will be an interesting game in itself. Moving a little quicker here, 12 o'clock on Saturday, you have Southern Cal playing Illinois. Southern Cal and Illinois, Illinois just got absolutely spanked by Indiana. And I did not expect that whatsoever. Now, I know that Indiana had the best season they've ever had, I believe, in program history last year in Cignetti's very first season. But they still had to bring in a bunch of players, and he did credit him. Cignetti can coach, all right? That's part of the portal. That's the other side of the portal people don't want to talk about, is that you have to have people to coach these players. So if you go get transfer portal players, you have to have people to coach them. You have to have the ones to lead them and guide them and direct them, motivate them. What is motivating? A lot of these players just need to be honest and say, hey, look, I want the NIL money. I want the NIL money. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and just tell you I love this university so much to where it tickles my little heart. I'm not going to tell you that. But I do appreciate the opportunity. I do like things about this place, but I want to make NIL money. And you know what? I'd like to make it. At that point, I would look, as a coach, I would be saying, yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right. At least you're being honest with me. Well, I'm going to tell you the NFL money is way better than this. So I'm going to need you to play. Whatever it is that motivates them and it's not unethical, that's what I would be going for. And so anyway, that's a sidebar for me when it comes to Indiana. But Indiana spanked the crap out of Illinois. Southern Cal, 6.5-point favorite right now. And we're just going to see, hey, is this like for reals? I mean, is this what we're, I mean, are they actually improving? Because I can tell you this, that it's not looking good for Lincoln Riley. It is not looking good. And I don't think that anyone in Southern California would have thought that things would have went as poorly as they have. So, we will see. We will see, how things go, because I can tell you straight up that, it just hasn't went as well as they initially wanted things to go. So anyway, getting back in here and looking at a few other teams, Notre Dame and Arkansas. Notre Dame just won their first game. They're 1-2. Their first 2 losses were by a total of 3 points, losing to Miami and Texas A&M. They're playing an Arkansas team that's just coming off of a loss to Memphis. Do not be fooled that this Arkansas team is bad. They're not. And that they can lose. They can lose to teams and they can beat teams. And I know that sounds like, wow, how philosophical. Talking about losing games. They lost to Ole Miss last week, 41-35, so by 6 points. And then they just lost over the weekend to a solid Memphis team, 32-31. And now they're playing Notre Dame. And I'm telling you, they could, I think that if they hang in there and get a few plays, they could definitely beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a 6.5-point favorite going into Arkansas. Utah State playing at Vandy, 12:45 on the SEC network. Normally I wouldn't bring this up. 4-0 Vandy, second year in a row that Clark Lee has taken his team to a place that, quite frankly, is shocking. You know, we've seen teams have good seasons before. We've seen teams have really good seasons and then they just fall off. They just everything just like it's gone. People get film on them. They get film on Diego Pavia. And how many times have we seen in year 2 people not play so well? Look at DJ Lagway right now. That guy came in as a true freshman last year, did what he did, and now everybody's calling for his head. That's what I'm talking about. That you would have someone who plays very well and then they get film on them and then some changes around them happen. Not so with Vanderbilt so far. Vanderbilt's 4-0. They're a 21.5-point favorite over a 3-1 Utah State team. Ohio State and Washington getting together. Both teams, believe it or not, are undefeated. Going into Seattle, Ohio State is a 9.5-point favorite. They're a 9.5-point favorite. And that just shows you how, even with this other team being 3-0 going to their house, and this is early, the lines will move and so on, but Ohio State, there's a lot of faith in them. A lot of people believe in them. At this point, they've only played one solid football team and won by 7 points. It was game 1 against Texas. But, the schedule is in their favor for the rest of the season. Penn State comes to them in about 5 or 6 weeks, and then you play Michigan at the end of the season. You're not playing Oregon this year. So that's one thing. That's one thing to keep your eyes on. You're not playing Indiana. Now, I know last year they throttled Indiana, but that's an interesting game there. Here's a game that's getting overlooked because you have the 2 massive games at 7:30. But at 3:30 on ABC, this used to be the 3:30 CBS game, you have LSU at Ole Miss. Both teams are undefeated. In Oxford, and Ole Miss is a 2.5-point favorite. Now, Ole Miss made some changes at quarterback. And, they barely beat Kentucky. They barely beat Arkansas. And there were, they made some changes. They brought in Trinidad Chambly. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. That's just off the cuff here. But what's interesting here, that's an interesting game to me. I'll just leave it at that. I don't think that LSU has had anyone attack their defense. No one this season, including my Clemson team or Florida, has truly attacked LSU's defense. Now, if I'm an LSU fan, I would say, well, that's because the LSU defense is loaded. The defensive coordinator seems to be hitting on all cylinders. Sure, maybe so. But it will be interesting to see LSU against Lane, because here's the truth. Ole Miss, though they're number 13 and they're 4-0, they only beat Arkansas by 7 points. And so I want to be careful what I say about them. Not because the Ole Miss police is going to come pick me up or something. It's just, this is a confusing game for me, because I just want to see if the offense will come out in stride, just absolutely hitting on something. And if that is the case, if that is truly the case, then how does LSU respond? Because no one has attacked LSU very well. Again, maybe it is because LSU defense is fantastic. We'll see. Auburn, fresh off their loss to Oklahoma. By the way, Brent Venables, his defense had 10 sacks this past Saturday against Auburn. Yeah, you didn't hear me wrong. 10, a school record. Wow. That's all I can say. Wow. Getting here to the comment section real quick. Got Big John. Good to see you, Big John. Good to see you, my man. Always glad to see you in here. Move a little faster. As I said, Auburn and Texas A&M. A&M's a 6.5-point favorite at home. That's really interesting. You have Tennessee 3-1 going to play a 4-0 Mississippi State team in Starkville. Tennessee is a 7.5-point favorite. This is one of those games that Tennessee needs to stay focused. You lost to Georgia. You blew the lead, but you're still a good football team. Joey Aguilar, 1,124 yards, 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And Chris Brazel is unbelievable. 25 receptions, 426 yards, and this guy is just making it look easy. Key to this game, stay focused, Tennessee, because Mississippi State will beat you. This team seems to be hitting on a little bit of a stride. I know they've played, except for Arizona State, they've played no one. But this Mississippi State team in the past would lose to no one. No, and what I mean by that is they would lose, but they were losing to bad football teams. They're winning. What does that mean? Maybe, just maybe, they're focused enough to take you down. You got to focus on this one. You can't pull an Arkansas from last year. That'll hurt your season. Tennessee has a lot to play for. Ames, Iowa host Arizona and Iowa State. A boring game to us Southerners. We're sitting here going, who cares? Both teams are undefeated. Arizona, with their second-year head coach after you remember 2 years ago, back in 2023, they had a really good season. Their coach left and replaced Kalen DeBoer in Washington last year. And they had a poor season. Right now, they're 3-0. We'll see how that works. Before I get to our last two main games, I want to skip over BYU and Colorado. Last time BYU and Colorado played was in the bowl game at the end of last season. And that I know of, Colorado didn't have anyone sit out. BYU beat the color out of their jerseys. And that was with Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. Made a lot of people mad that the media was still salivating over Colorado. And I know some people would probably say, well, that's because they were top players in the country. Yeah, and they were getting beat by 30 points. It should have been the opposite, going, how is this team beating some of the top players at that time in the country by 30 points? BYU's 3-0. They're going into Boulder at Folsom Field. 10:15 this Saturday night on ESPN. If your church service if your church service has two services, go to the late one. You could stay up and watch this one. BYU is a 6.5-point favorite going into this game. We will see how it happens. Now let's get to our top two games. I'm going to start with the Big Ten matchup. The Big Ten matchup. Let's talk about this. You have Oregon and Penn State. Now, just throwing this out there on the side. About this time last year, Oregon played Ohio State, beat them. That was an interesting game. It was one of the best games of all last season. Of course, Ohio State more than got revenge in the college football playoff when they played their conference buddies. In this scenario, you have Oregon going into Penn State, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is the best chance probably in a lot of people's opinions that James Franklin has had at Penn State as a whole. He has Jim Knowles running his defense. He left Ohio State, replaced Tom Allen, who's now at Clemson. Penn State's a 3.5-point favorite. And Drew Aller has been a staple in college football, but coming into this game, he is not the leading passer between the two quarterbacks. No, it's Dante Moore, former top recruit in the country. This guy originally signed, he's out of Detroit, Michigan. He originally signed with UCLA. He spent one season there, And then when Chip Kelly, I'm pretty sure Chip Kelly was there, left, he transferred to Oregon. He sat on the bench last year, and now he behind Dylan Gabriel, and now he is the starting quarterback. And guys, he's doing very, very well. 962 yards, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. And I mean, this Oregon team looks really, really good. Penn State is a 3.5-point favorite, I believe wholeheartedly, because this is in Beaver Stadium. Either one of these teams can win, but I'm going to tell you, and I haven't even done a pick. I'm heavily leaning towards Oregon for this one. I really am, but it's truly a toss-up. And then I will, time permitting this week, I will do an individual preview for these games, that the big games here, like Oregon, Penn State, Alabama, and Georgia. Now we go to Alabama and Georgia. This game will be played at the same time as the other one, 7:30, this time on ABC. It's going to be in Athens, Georgia. It's going to be rocking. Georgia is a 2.5-point favorite. Bama, obviously, 2-1. Georgia, 3-0, 1-0 in the conference. This is Alabama's first conference game. Now, we remember last year, that crazy good game that they had that went on. It was unbelievable. But that was last year's game. And Georgia, like Tennessee has a problem beating Georgia, my memory serves me correct, Kirby has a very difficult time beating Alabama. He beat them in the national championship to win a national championship. Bryce Young was quarterback. I remember that. But this is a big game for Georgia as a whole, because it's a big game for either team. That's a duh statement. But if they get past Alabama, I'm not saying that the road is easy, but it's not like a Florida or Oklahoma schedule that is just awful. Go to look at those schedules. It's just top team after top team for most of the schedule. You look at this, after this you have Kentucky, Auburn, then you play Ole Miss. That will be in Athens. Then you have Florida. You're at Mississippi State, according to how they continue doing. That could be a bit of a game. And then you have Texas. Where are they playing? In Athens. And then you play Georgia Tech, a much improved Georgia Tech team at the end of the season. Georgia needs to get this monkey off their back against Alabama. They really, really do. Most Southerners are probably going to watch the majority of this Georgia-Alabama game more than they will Oregon or in Penn State. They'll flip back and forth between the games, but you'll probably end up watching more of Oregon and of Alabama and Georgia, because these two teams, even with coaching changes, has won so many national championships over the past 7-8 years, and it's still just a massive game. In this game, this is a chance for Kirby, and this is where I'll end here. This is a massive game for Kirby to be able to come in and take his coaching continuity. And what I mean by that is he's been at Georgia a long time. Kalen DeBoer takes over Alabama. This is year number 2 for him. Okay. This is a chance for Kirby Smart to take his tenure at Georgia and use it against Alabama and say, yeah, I know they're Alabama, and I still know that they have a lot of good players over there, and I know that they still have some of the DNA from Saban over there, but I'm not coaching against Saban. And I think that this is a really good chance for Kirby. This is a really good chance for him to come in and, excuse me, it's a really good chance for him to come in and beat them, and then really take control of the SEC and say, hey, y'all go beat up on one another like you do. And I'm going to sit over here. I'm going to take care of business when I have to take care of business. And I'm just going to sit over here and I'm going to watch. That's what I'm going to do. And I'll be waiting on you in Atlanta. So that will be an interesting game. I'm going to get to the comment section here before I leave. As I said, Big John was in here. Macabre, I don't know what that is, but I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you subscribed. They're not beating us. I think you're an LSU fan. Good to see you. Muddy Guns Official Tube. No fan alum here. Just wanted to say I watch your channels and really enjoy your content. Keep it coming. I really do appreciate that. And I'm telling you that Florida State game against Virginia, I think it's going to be a tougher one. But this is a chance for Florida State to go in and impose their will on Virginia, and Gus Malzahn not lay back, but absolutely take it to them. And if they take it to Virginia and Virginia pushes back, that means that Virginia is truly much improved. We'll see that, but obviously I think Florida State's going to win that ball game. Folks, if you love talking college football, this is a channel for you to subscribe to. And hey, if you want to see the channel grow, I hope you'll subscribe. If you love your team, pass it along to others and go, hey, this guy, he talks about college football as a whole. So pass along. Y'all take care of yourself and catch you next time.